So let's start our session. So this is the outline sunflower that I have already sketched. I'm zooming it in, and you'll need your paint palette, your watercolor paints. You'll need a rounded brush, a cup of water, and a paper towel for cleaning the brush. So we can start with the first step. I'll keep my palette here so that I'm able to show you the colors and I'm able to show you the steps that I'm going to do. And it's a repetition. So once you do one petal, you'll be able to do the next petals quite quickly and easily. Now just dip your paintbrush, that is the rounded paintbrush, in the cup of water and take yellow color. Now my yellow color might be a little bit different in shade than yours, but it will serve the purpose. Just take a good amount of yellow on your brush and we'll start with one of the petals. Okay, so you can start any petal of your choice, start with any petal of your choice. I'm going to start with this big one that I'm pointing to. I'm just going to fill it in. I'll just zoom it up a little bit more so that you can see more clearly. And just yellow color with water on my brush and activating my yellow color, I am just putting yellow throughout the petal, throughout my first petal. So you can see my brush was wet and I have yellow color. And if I want, I can add more yellow depending upon how much brightness I need for that petal. Okay, now yellow color, I'm just putting it on throughout my first petal. So somewhere you can see it's light, somewhere it's dark. It depends on how much color you have taken on your paintbrush. You want to make it lighter, you can just clean your brush, dip and dip it in the water, dab it on the paper towel, take some water again on the brush, and just drag your brush or rub your brush throughout that petal. So somewhere there'll be a lighter color, somewhere there'll be a darker shade of yellow with the same yellow color. Now your base is wet. So I'll be going a little quick here because I don't want the base to dry. So base is wet and I'm going to take some orange color. Now you must be having a lighter or a little bit more brighter shade of orange. Whichever you have, just use it. So clean the brush first. I had already cleaned it and dip it again in water and activate your orange color. Now with the tip of my brush where I have some orange color, I'm just going to put some orange throughout the outline of my first petal that I have painted yellow. You can see it's a little orange, it's a little yellow. That's the shade that we want, but it's still not smooth. So we'll smoothen it. In between, I'm just adding a little bit more orange, taking more orange. With the tip of my brush, I'm adding a little bit orange more. Now the color is spreading on its own. It has a mind of its own, but we need to change the direction a little bit. So I'll be cleaning my brush again, dipping it in water and dabbing it with a paper towel. Now I'm just using my dry brush. So my dry brush, and that is, it has no color, it has no water. I'm just using it on top of the orange color or the orange layer that I have added on the petal on the yellow base. So you can see it gives a smooth edge to your two shades of color that you've added, yellow and orange. Now I'll tell you the techniques that we have used till now. The first one is a wet on wet technique. The base was wet with yellow color and we added a little bit of orange color on the brush and put it on top of the yellow base. So it was kind of wet base and wet brush technique, which in short we call it as wet on wet technique. And then when we use a dry brush to mix in both the colors, to blend in both the colors, yellow and orange together to give a soft edge, it's called the soft edge technique. Now, both of these techniques are used in acrylics and in oil pastels as well. So that's why I said I'll try to broaden your horizon in terms of the techniques that we are using. Is everyone good with the first petal? A lot of thumbs up would do. I can see Lynn's. But if you are still doing it, it's okay. We'll be repeating the same process again and again with all these petals. Now, if you think your base is very light, that means the first layer that you did of yellow and orange is too light. What you can do is you can take a little bit more yellow just by activating it and putting it on top of the yellow area that was on the base, like this, and wherever you feel like. And now just clean the brush again, dip and dab it with a paper towel and water, and then take a little bit of orange again. So it's kind of layering or overlaying. So this is another technique which is usually done in acrylics, and I'm applying it in watercolors. Little bit of orange again. So it's alternating. First yellow, then orange, then again yellow, then orange to brighten the shade of my petal. Now I'm adding it a little bit more in between. Now the base was still wet, so it is spreading on its own. I want a gradient touch on my petal. That's the aim, so that's why we are using these two colors together. Now, if you want to give a soft edge to it, you know now that you have to dry your brush with no color and no water and just rub it on top of the orange layer and blend it with the background. So I took more time with the first petal so that you know all the techniques in the first petal and you can repeat the process throughout all the petals, and that will be a little quicker. Let me know if you have any questions. I don't think I need to wait because I'll be repeating the same step in the next petal as well. I hope you all are good, and I would love to see a lot of thumbs ups now. So let's come to the next. Now, the next petal, we can do one more thing here. I would love for you to follow that. It'll become a little bit easier. So I'm just cleaning my brush so that I don't have any orange on my brush. So I'm dipping it in water and dabbing it with a paper towel. Now I'm just using water on my brush and putting it on top of the second petal, the petal that is next to it, but you can choose any petal you want. You're using the same colors. So just water on my second petal and then dipping my brush in water again and taking some yellow color on the tip of the brush and letting it spread on the second petal that I'm doing. So you can see it spreads so easily. It spreads on its own and it's spreading it nicely. Like somewhere it is dark, somewhere it is light, and that's the shade that we want in the petal. And now you can use the brush to drag or kind of give direction to the color throughout the petal. So you are applying the color on the petal by adding water first to the base and then using color on top. So this is also called wet on wet technique, which we have already used with the first petal. Now we can quickly clean the brush and take some orange the way we did previously in the last petal. And I'm just going to check it on my paper towel that it's not too dark. And next thing I'm going to do is adding some orange in my next petal. That is the one that I already shaded yellow somewhere in between. Now here it is spreading on its own and I think I have put enough orange. Now I'm going to clean the brush again and I'm going to use the dry brush, that is it has no color or water, and just rub it on top of the darker color, that is the orange color or the brighter color that I have added on top of yellow. Now again, we can take a little bit of yellow again to give a brighter touch and put it on top of the same petal, and that is called layering or overlaying. So this technique is not only limited to a sunflower, you can use it in different other watercolor paintings that you choose to create. Wet on wet is usually done in sunset, sunrise, water area, and to give a nice texture and in an easier way. Now we can quickly come to the next petal. I hope you all are good with it, and I hope you can give a thumbs up now. If not, I'll assume you are doing good. Thank you so much, Lynn. Lynn is doing it on everyone's behalf, I'm sure. So, so we'll come to the next one. Okay. So I feel that we can do any technique, first technique or the second one, like the one that I did in the first petal, or you want to follow the second one. It's your choice. I showed you both. I'm going to wet my next petal quickly. So this is kind of base shading that you are giving to your petals or the sunflower. And I forgot to mention, please grab your drinks and snack and enjoy along, because we are not just learning, we are enjoying as well. I want to hear at the end that you all enjoyed as well. So now I'm just coming to the yellow color, sorry, the orange color, and just giving a little shade in between. And once it's done, I'm just going to dry my brush and just blend in both the colors. And now I think as soon as you move from the first petal to the third, the process might have got a little easier and quicker for you.
Mm.
It did. Thank you, Lynn. Now coming to the next one.
Mm.
I feel it's quite relaxing, though you need to stay within the outline. That's a little bit like it requires a little bit more concentration. But even if something goes out of the outline, we'll be giving a little background to the sunflower back. So I think even if some color comes out of the sunflower outline, it will kind of blend in with the background. So you don't have to worry much about it. So I just made it wet. I'm taking some yellow. I really love when the two colors they blend in nicely and they like just with the same tool, same brush, same color, we're able to blend in nicely. Now taking some orange. So I try to use the tip of the brush around the outline so that I try that the color doesn't come out of the outline. I'm using a little bit of yellow on top and little orange. So it's kind of overlaying or layering on top. So this technique is helpful when the base is wet and it is easier. Coming to the next petal. Even if you have a little color from the previous petal, which might spread to the next one, it's okay because you're using the same shades again and again. So they will blend in. I will try to show you everything that is needed in this the entire painting. So even if you're not able to complete it, you will be able to do it on your own. But I'm there to help you. Even when we are not here, I can help you by sending a nice video of how we can paint the sunflower. So here I'm just shading and blending both the colors, yellow and orange. Are we all doing good? Lynn, is it clear? And
It's very clear.
thank you, Lynn.
I think my pencil marks are too dark.
Yeah, I'll be able to help you with that.
Okay.
So we will be giving a little outline at the end to these petals with with a bright orange color. So
Okay.
that will help. And at the end, if it is still showing up, you can use an eraser once the entire color has dried up. Very nicely, you can use an eraser, not hard, but lightly you can use it. But I think we'll be able to hide it with the color. So I'm just moving to the next petal. So here we are using wet on wet techniques, soft edge technique, and we will be adding another technique that's called the dry on dry, which I'll be showing you and we'll be outlining it. And just giving a base shade. So this is kind of base shading your entire sunflower. Just giving orange touch. And then using the dry brush. And you don't need to be too much specific with the spreading of orange. Once it spreads, just give a little direction to it and try to use a dry brush technique. It is very helpful and easy to blend in two colors. Let me move to the next one. Now here I'm just using the yellow color first. That means I haven't wet the base. And now I'm going to use a little water to spread the yellow color. Now, if you want to keep the petal yellow, you can even keep it yellow. You don't need to blend in with the orange. That's just the way I'm telling you. So you have options and you can use them anytime. Just going along the outline. And I think I can add a little yellow. I'm just using yellow directly on my petals. So I'm not using water first. And you can do anyway. It will come out the beautifully whichever way you do. And I hope you all are happy till now with your sunflowers and you are making happy sunflowers. Again, please let me know if you have any questions. Please don't hesitate. You can even put it on the chat. Coming to the next one. So once we are done with these petals, this is kind of a base shade that we have given to them. So it will get dried up. Till then, we can do the leaves and the stem once the petals are done. So the main thing will be done, and then we'll be doing some outlines and some background. I think we should be able to finish it during the session.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but it's okay to go beyond the time, right, Lynn?
It's
Will
okay
that
with
be
me.
okay? Yeah, I'm okay with that, but I hope everyone is okay. But that's why I said I'll try my best to show every element so that you don't miss on anything, even you have to continue later. Now I'm just giving some orange effect. And now just a little bit of dry brush. So when you're using the dry brush, try to use the brush in the direction of the darker color. So that, see, if you can see here, there is some orange and I'm using some dry brush towards the orange color so that it blends in nicely with my base. And I think that it is a little faded, so I'm adding a little bit more orange and yellow. Oh, and the screen was going to go down. Yeah. And little orange again. So as long as the base is wet, you can keep on adding two colors together and blend them nicely. So this has got a little bit brighter than the other petals. Now we can clean the brush and come back to the next petal. And I'm using little water to spread the color. So sometimes if you use a lot of color on the base, you can spread it by adding little water to the brush. And that will help in giving a gradient touch, somewhere dark, somewhere light. I'm adding a little bit more yellow here. And then coming to some orange color. First, I start by going around the outline. Then I give a little shade inside. But I still let the yellow color come out. And then if you want, if you see there are hard edges in between the colors, then you can just use the dry brush. Otherwise, you can keep it that way. Even some hard edges will look good on the petal. It will show a few folds in there if you keep it hard edged. Now I'm wetting the next petal. And I'm going to add some yellow. Once that's done, I'm taking some orange, Just going along the outline, giving a little bit inside. And now it has spread on its own. Let me dry the brush. And I'm going to use the dry brush technique throughout the petal. Now, if you want to overlay or overlap with yellow color, you can add more to make it a little brighter, and that you can do at the end as well. So you don't need to brighten it right now. You can even brighten it once it dries. Now, there are a few petals, the small petals that are still left behind. We can quickly cover them using the same technique. But I'm not sure which direction you are going, which petals you are doing, but I'm just telling you on the basis of what I'm doing. And I'm just wetting it, adding some yellow, then adding some orange, and then using the dry brush. Now, the smaller petals, you can directly color them with the color, with the yellow color. You don't need to wet it first because these are quite small. Then you can add some orange if you want. And then use a dry brush. Go towards the color to fade it out. Now come back to the next petal. I think I'm left with two more small petals. And I'm just covering them yellow first, and then I'm going to add some orange on them. That will make the process a little quicker. Taking a little orange. And I have done or completed the base shading for all of the petals. Now, if you want, before we do the leaves or the stem, since the flower has almost dried, I'm sure yours has also maybe a few petals that you did at the end might not have dried. Lynn, what is your experience? Have they dried
Um,
almost?
almost.
Almost. So we can complete that part because I want you all to visualize your sunflower in a more better way so that you can actually give an outline to the sunflower now. So wherever you started from, your petals must have dried from there. Like I started from this petal and that it has dried completely. So try to go in the same direction as you did the base shading. And I want you to complete the sunflower petals first before we come to the leaves. So for that, you can take your brush, the rounded brush, which has a nice tip, or maybe if you have a thin brush with you at home, you can use that too. But try to use the tip of the brush for giving a nice outline to the sunflower. Now we'll take some orange color for this. Now here we are using dry on dry technique. That is, the base is dry. That's why I said the base of your petals should be dried. And we'll be wetting the brush very lightly just to activate the orange color. So it's like dry base with a dry brush, almost dry brush, and color on it. And we are activating the color. So just dipping the tip of my brush, I'll take some orange color on the tip. I'll just try. And then if I think it's not activated much, I can add a little bit more water. So just on the tip of my brush, I've taken some orange. And I'll start with my first petal, the one that I started shading first. And with the tip, I'm just giving a little outline, just overlapping on top of the pencil outline that you did. Now you'll see that it is dark. Now it will depend how much water you have taken. Less water, more color will give a good consistency to the orange color. But don't outline it throughout. Give a little gap and then outline. If you can see on the screen, and I'm not dragging my brush throughout. I'm just giving few strokes one over the other and giving a nice outline to my
Mm.
petal. Is it working for you all?
Yes, for
Now this
me.
time I need a nice thumbs up, please. Do. For Lynn it is working, right Lynn?
Yes.
Okay. And again, this will be repeated throughout the petals. So in between, you also had given a few strokes or a few shadings inside the petal, right? So you can overlap those pencil marks with the orange color on top with the tip of your brush. Now we are not going to leave it as is because it's kind of giving a hard edge to the petal. We need to make it soft. We need to soften it. So in between I'm adding a little bit more orange. I'll be blending it later. You can see on the first petal that I'm doing, I'm adding little shade of orange so that I can blend it with the background at the end. So maybe this much is good. Now I'm going to clean the same brush that I'm using already. Clean it, dip and dab it so that there is no orange. Take a little bit of water on the same brush, just dip it in water and rub it on top of the orange outlines that you have done. Just rub it so that the outline stays, but at the same time it blends with the background.
Mm.
Is it working for you all? Don't take too much water because we don't want the color to spread out of the petal, but it should be good enough to rub it on top of the orange so that if you can see on the screen, orange is still there, but it's giving a soft edge in between and blending.
Mm.
Okay. Christine is saying my pencil marks are still very dark. Christine, have you used orange? And is the orange quite dark and bright? If not, if it's still not going, as I said, just let it dry completely and very lightly use an eraser to erase the pencil marks, and it should work. Because yours is not printed, it will get erased. I'm just adding a little bit more. I hope it helped.
Yes, thank you.
You're most welcome. Lynn, did yours get hidden?
Yes.
That's good. I'm just adding a little bit more. And somewhere, if you see some hard edges, I like them because it shows kind of folds in the petal. Now we can continue with the same with the rest of the petals.
Mm.
Somewhere. And try to go in the same direction as you went for the base shading because I want your petals to be dried. Giving a little touch here. And now I'm going to use a little water. So this way, these outlines of orange that you're giving, they'll help in giving a nice shade to the background as well when you'll try to blend. So we are trying to give a natural texture to the petals as much as we can. And whenever you feel it's getting too dark, you can just, or getting too bright, you can use the dry brush, or maybe you can even kind of dab it with your paper towel on top. That will absorb any extra color as long as the base is wet. Now coming to the next petal. Is it working for everyone? Is it working, Lynn?
It's working for me.
Thank you for saying that. I feel everyone else is still busy. Now, sometimes it makes me worried. Am I giving right instructions that everyone is able to follow?
I think that because everyone's quiet,
Quiet.
it's
It's working.
working.
Yeah.
If it
And
wasn't
that's
busy, you'd hear
yeah.
from them.
That's always a suspense for me. And I'm sure it works. And at the end, I see such beautiful paintings. Then
Mm.
it makes me feel proud. Okay, let me
Yes.
move on. So I'm just giving that outline and then I'm just using a little bit of water or maybe a dry brush
Mm.
to give a nice shade to my petal.
Mm.
Now, each petal you are applying the same technique, but each one of them will be a little bit different from the last one in terms of shading. That's
Mhm.
because I always say the watercolors, they have a mind of their own, but we still apply our mind to make it nice as per our imagination.
Mm.
And some of the petals can be light, some of the petals can be dark, or means some of them can be light and some of them can be brighter. Coming to this one. Giving a few strokes. Maybe I'll do one more.
Oh, yours is beautiful.
Thank you so much, Lynn. I'm excited to see everyone's. That's why I say I just keep on concentrating on one petal, though I know that I have to do the rest of them. I'm trying to increase my speed. But you all just do it at your own pace. Just enjoy. I'm just using little dry brush so that I want to fade out. And sometimes just want to show you that how you can use a paper towel. Just use a corner of your paper towel in case you feel that whatever you are painting is too dark, too bright. Just use the corner or the tip of this paper towel and just dab it on top. And this will kind of absorb any extra color. And then you can quickly use some water, just water on your brush and kind of blend it in. So instead of dry brush, you can also use a paper towel. And we can move to the next petal. Once we are done with the outline, I'll show you a little bit of the leaves. That is also same kind of techniques. And then I think we'll do the center part of the sunflower,
Mm.
and then the background.
Mm.
Spin drop silence. Unless I speak, it's so quiet.
Yeah. It's so relaxing.
And that's good to know. Yeah, that's why I said the way the colors spread, the way we blend them in.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we need to stay within the outline, but that also I try to make it a little easier for you. Even if something goes out, we'll be able to blend it in the background.
Mm.
But you do not need to uh, have a consistency with the petals. One petal can have more darker outline, the other one can have less of outline. One can be a little bit more darker and brighter, one can be little faded out. So this way it will give a nice texture and a natural texture to your sunflower. I'm just moving my paper the way I'm comfortable outlining, so you can also do the same, just rotating it to make it much easier for me to do the outline. I think I'm almost done, a few petals left. But definitely you can keep on adding more layers, you can keep on
Hi,
outlining a little
Mama.
bit more.
Good job. Thanks, Mike.
Did anybody say anything?
Yes, my children are watching me and they wanted to say that I'm doing a good job, even though I look
Oh, great.
stressed.
Great. Thank you for letting me know. Your mom was not saying that. And I'm happy to know that. Now, whenever I'm doing some painting, I take the view of my kids. How am I doing? Because I'm not sure. Is it good? And my daughter, she's always saying, Mama, just complete it. Trust the process. And actually, it works. So kids actually give you confidence. There, I think I am left with the smaller petals now. Let me blend in this one. And just the smaller ones, they are easier and quicker. Maybe this one. Yeah, the last one is a little bit light for me, so I'm making it a little bit more brighter. And just blending it. And just giving a little blend to some of the petals that I didn't blend in nicely. And then we are good with the petals. I hope everyone is good with the petals. And did anybody say anything? Are you done, Lynn?
I am. Yeah.
Great. We can move to the next step then. But please keep on doing whatever you are doing. Don't rush. Just see what I'm going to do next so that you can apply it. Okay. Let's come to the leaves. Now you can first start with the stem. You can take your thin brush or your rounded brush, which has a good tip. And we can start with the yellow color here as well. We always start with a lighter shade and then blend in with a darker shade. So now just dip your brush in water and take some yellow. You don't need to wet the base because it's quite narrow space. And now start with the top, like where the stem is meeting the petals, and just fill in the entire stem by going forward backward. And this reminds me of forward backward shading. We did sketching session earlier, and I think I did tell those who were attending, it's this technique is called forward backward. When you are going forward and backward to fill in any area or to apply a color in any area, that's called forward backward shading. It's just the name that is given to what we are actually doing here. And now we can take some green color, any shade, light or dark, whichever you have. But if you have a dark one, please use dark green. And just take it on the tip of the brush. Here, it was kind of the yellow color that you added. It was wet on dry technique, where the brush was wet, but the base was dry. And now we are using some green color, just activating green, less water and more green, and just give a little outline to the stem with green. You don't need to drag the brush throughout, just keep on overlapping and give a little gap, and do the same for the other side of the stem as you can see here. Just add a few strokes in the center, like inside the stem with green color overlapping on top of yellow. And now you can just clean the brush, that is dip and dab it, and just take a little water on the same brush and rub it on top of the green color, and it will kind of blend in with the yellow and give a nice shade throughout the stem, a blended touch of yellow and green. I hope it will work for you. It's the same technique that you have used in outlining the petals to give a soft edge to the green outline that you did. I hope it worked. Did it work, Lynn?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if something comes out of the outline, it's okay. You know, we need to make a background here, so it will work. Now, if you want to give a little bit darker shade, you can take a little bit more green on the same brush and give a darker outline to the stem. And try to do it as light as you can. Don't put too much pressure on your brush. So again, this reminds me of the technique that we usually do in sketching, that is pressure shading. When you add more pressure to your brush, it will give a darker effect. If you add lesser pressure to the brush with color on it, it will give a faded effect. So it's usually done with pencil in sketching, but we can definitely apply it in watercolors. I think I'm good with the shading part of the stem. It's giving a little gradient touch, light green and dark green. Now, did it work, Lynn?
Yes.
Great. I feel you. The glow on your face shows it. You're happy. Okay. Are we all doing good? Can I expect a thumbs up? Or you can unmute and let me know how you are doing.
Crickets.
Karen, thank you. Patricia, thank you. I saw them at last.
Good.
Thank you so much. Okay. Now I'm
You feel better?
happy. Yes, I'm feeling better.
Good.
Let's come to the leaves now. I'll start with the left one, the leaf on the left, but you can do any. We'll be following the same technique for both. It's a repetition. So it's the same techniques that we did for the petals, but just that we are using different colors and different place to do. So that's the leaf. Now you can just wet the entire leaf with just water on your brush. So again, we are applying the wet on wet technique. Try that the orange and yellow just doesn't get inside the leaf, but even if it does, it's okay. Some of the green will go from the stem to the leaf as well, but it's okay. That will work because we are adding green only on the leaf. So again, we'll start with the yellow color. Take some yellow. So I always try to start with a lighter shade and then come to the next shade. Just let it flow, let it kind of spread in the leaf, the yellow color. And once the base shade is done, we'll add the dark green color. So I'll just clean my brush now. Maybe dark green or light green, whichever green you have. But if you have dark green, I would prefer to use dark. Just taking enough green. Now what I'm going to do is just go along the outline first. So you can see the green is spreading on its own. So I'm trying to give an outline to it, but it will spread because the base was wet. And it's again the wet on wet technique that we are applying. Now, anywhere you want darker green or green shade, you can just fill in. So there'll be a mix of yellow and green. Now this is quite light. Now I want to give a little darker shade here. I can take more green and put it on top, somewhere in the center, somewhere on the side. Now it's spreading on its own, and I'm quickly using the dry brush to absorb the extra color. And at the same time, it blends with the background, that is the light, that is the yellow color, which is turning into light green. So you can see here, mine has got a nice gradient touch, and I hope yours is also getting the same, even if it's not the same texture as mine. Did it work for you, Lynn?
Yeah.
If it's spreading on its own, just use,
Yeah.
if you think it's too dark, just use a paper towel and dab on it. Or if it's not working, just use the dry brush, that is no color, no water,
Mm.
and just rub on top of that color and it will absorb the extra. I hope dabbing helped a little. It might have made it lighter. And if it's not working, let me show you the next leaf and it might help. So what I did was I just wet the base of the next leaf
Mm.
and add some yellow. Just let it spread on its own, or maybe give a little direction to it. And you don't need to cover it throughout. Even if some white patches are there, you're going to cover it with green. So somewhere it gets tricky when the color spreads on its own, because that is why people usually say acrylics are much easier than watercolors. But with practice, you're able to have a control on watercolors as well. And now I'm just using some green, letting it spread on the yellow. And if it's not spreading, I'm making it spread.
Hmm.
Just go along the outline, or always start with outline and then I let it spread inside. Worked a little, Len?
Yeah. My paper's not cooperating. It's getting
Is it too much water
yeah,
you
probably
added?
too much.
It's okay. Is it kind of getting dusty on top because
Yeah,
of the paper?
exactly.
Don't rub it too much. I'm glad this happened so that everyone also is able to understand. Don't rub it. Don't
Ah,
rub it too much. Let it dry. That dust will go away. You'll be able
oh,
to just take it away. And then you can add your color once it
ah,
dries. So
okay.
don't keep on rubbing, otherwise the sand or
Oh,
whatever it
too
is
late.
getting.
You can use a hair dryer if you have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Or
you
that
we,
would
can.
have been a good
You
idea.
can, you can, definitely. That's a good idea. Is it only happening on the leaf, Lynn, or did
Yes.
it happen on the
No,
flower
it's
too?
just on the leaves because I put wet down first and
It's
then
okay. Let
that's
it
how it
dry.
goes.
It has happened to me. It depends on the paper as well. Sometimes paper is a
Hmm.
little bit thin. But I think you used the Canson one, right?
Say that again.
Did you use the Canson watercolor paper?
I don't remember.
It's
I'm
okay.
using my own, so
You're using your own. Okay, sometimes it's thin, but it will all go away, but just don't rub on it.
okay.
Okay, I'm coming to the next two small leaves that I did. Now here you don't need to mix in two colors. You can just use one color as well. But I'm using the same technique. So if you want to follow, you can just adding some yellow. Here I'm not adding any wetness or any water here. I'm just directly adding yellow color because it's a small leaf and filling it in.
Hmm.
Now I'm just adding some dark green on the sides because it's a smaller area. I'm trying to be careful that nothing comes out. And now with a dry brush, I'm just giving a little blend to both the colors. So as I said, and to avoid all that dust from the paper, just try to rub less with your brush. Just give a feather touch,
Mm-hmm.
not too hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are good with the leaves now. Let the leaves and the stem dry. We can give a little outline after it dries. But before that, what we can do is we can fill in the center part of the sunflower. And I think all of yours must have dried by now. And it was a good idea to use a hair dryer. If you have it, just use it. But let the paper stay on the base. Don't hold it in your hand and then do it because then the water might flow down. So Just keep it on a nice steady base and then use a blow dryer. And if it is already dried, we can come to the center part. It's quite easy. So you can use the same rounded brush. Clean the brush first so that it doesn't have any green. And what you can do is just wet it inside throughout. Just water. Again, we are using the wet on wet technique. As I said earlier, it's mostly wet on wet technique that we are using throughout this painting. So I'm just going round and round. So this reminds me again with another technique, which is called scumbling. Scumbling is usually done in sketching, wherein you fill in a particular space by going round and round. And same way we are going to fill in, or we are going to wet the center part of a circular area like this, the sunflower, in a circular way, which is called scumbling. Now we can take some yellow color and just spread it throughout this circular area or the center part of the sunflower. Now you can see I'm using the tip of my brush and just pressing it, and the yellow is already spreading inside. I can add a little bit more brighter touch here, add more yellow. I'm just giving dots and it's spreading on its own because the base is wet. Now we can clean the brush quickly because the base is still wet. I want to do the next step a little quicker. You can activate your brown color now. Just take some water and take some brown color on the brush. And what you can do is, you can see what I'm doing and then you can follow along. Along the outline of this circular area, I'm just going to use some brown color. Use the tip and let it spread. Use the tip and let it spread. Like I'm stippling, I'm adding some dots here. So this technique of adding dots on a particular area to add a texture is called stippling, but since the base was wet, it is spreading on its own, and that's what we want. Throughout the circular outline, I'm going to do the same with the brown color, and this will give kind of a fuzzy look on the edges. I hope it's working for you all, and this will happen only if your base is still wet. If your base is dried, you can first add water and then use this technique. Is it working a little? If it spreads out, you can just quickly use your paper towel and just dab it, and that will help in keeping the consistency and keeping it within the circle. Working, Lynn?
Yeah.
Great. I hope everyone is good too. I'll take a little bit of time for your thumbs ups if you can. I'm still seeing, I'm waiting. Okay, let me continue. Yeah, Karen, thank you so much. Okay. Now in between, you can do the same. Let the yellow show up, let it peep out, but at the same time with some brown, just keep on adding those small dots and fill in the space, but at the same time, just leave some space for yellow as well. So it's a mix of yellow and brown, and this will work mostly when the base is wet. Now see, this one is not spreading much because my base was not wet. It dried up. So quickly, I'm going to use a little water on top of these dots and it will start spreading. So this is the other way around where we are using water after using the color because the base got dried. Now you want to give a little darker shade, you can add more or overlay or layer with more brown using the same dot techniques. And this technique of adding dots is usually done in sketching, which is called stippling. You don't need to remember any of these names. I'll be sending a nice email to tell you the entire review of our session wherein I'll be adding those techniques. Now, we are done with the center part. We are done with the base shading. We can add a few black dots or brown dots on top with a thin brush, but let it dry completely. Before that, we can give a little outline to our leaves and the stem. Let's just activate some green color. So activating means you just take a little bit of water and take more of green color to give a nice consistency to the color so that it gives a nice outline. I'm just going to test it on my paper towel so that it's not that bright. Now with the tip of my thin brush or the one that is a rounded one, I'm just giving a little outline just the way you did for the sunflower, but it's a different color now. That's green. Give a little outline here, give an outline inside this line that you always add in a leaf. So try to overlap on top of the pencil outline so that they get hidden. And do the same for the other leaf. So this is the dry on dry technique that we are applying, where the base is dry and the brush is almost dry with more color on it. Giving in. So next time if you're doing a painting and you have to sketch it, try that you do it very lightly, adding less pressure. That way you will not need to worry about erasing the outline later. Now I'm just using some water to spread in this outline a little bit to give a soft edge to my leaf and to give a little color or shade inside the leaf. So I'm just using some water on the same brush and rubbing it on top of the outlines that I did. Spreading it. Then I'm going to do the same so that I give a soft edge to the other leaf as well. This gives a nice shadow effect inside your element. What I feel, I hope it's working for you as well. Now I'm just giving a little outline to the smaller leaves. And giving a little outline to the stem. And just using some little bit of water and rub it on top of these outlines so that give a nice soft edge to the leaves. And now we can give a little detail to the flower. We're almost done. We just need to do a little outline, an outline to the sunflower as well as a little bit of background. So what we can do here is, you must be having brown with you, which you use inside the sunflower. Now you can use your thin brush or the rounded brush with a nice tip. And again, we'll be using the dry on dry technique for the outlining. It is very small area that we'll be outlining. So just activate the brown. I hope I have enough water. Let me check again. So to check the consistency, you can just test it on your paper towel, how it is spreading and what is the darkness or the brightness of the color. Now using some brown, I'm just going to give a little bit of outline where the petals and the center part of the flower are connecting. So as you can see, just giving a little outline here. Just small little line. Do not outline it throughout. It shows a little connection between the petals and the center part. That's how I imagine it. So you can see here. Do you want me to zoom it, Lynn, or is it good?
No, that's good.
Okay, great. So you can see very little connection in between the petals and the center part. You can do it throughout all the petals, or you can just miss or skip a few petals. Just rotating my paper a little. You want to give a few strokes inside like this, you can. We are not going to keep it as is. We are going to blend it a little bit to give a soft edge. I think this much is good. Now you can just clean your brush, dip and dab it, dry it completely. Use a very little water on the brush and try to blend in the brown color that you've used for the outline so that it blends in, but at the same time it shows on your petal. Like this, to give a soft edge to it. Very little water. I hope it's working for you all. And if you think it's spreading too much, just dab it quickly with the paper towel and it will work. Isn't brown adding a little bit detail to your flower?
Hmm.
It does, Lynn?
Yes.
Great. Now, once this is done, we can come to the background. So for that, it's again wet on wet technique. And some mix of different colors. Now it's your choice which colors you want to use, or you want to use the ones that I'm using. I try to use the same colors that I use in the main element, that is a sunflower. So I'll start with some yellow color, then orange color, some green color, maybe a little blue. So, but it's your choice which colors you want to add in the background. Now, as you can see here, the background has different colors, but very light. So it gives a faded effect at the back. So we can quickly do this with the wet on wet technique. I'm going to wet the area at the bottom left corner. Just water. Just make sure that you don't have any other color on the brush. Just wet this entire area around the flower and the leaf. Even if some color spreads from the leaves or from the sunflower, it's okay. Because it's tough for not to make it spread. I think I have wet it enough. And now I'm going to use some yellow color here. And using the tip of my brush, I'm letting it spread. So you see, I'm just putting the tip and it's spreading on its own. I'm just trying to make a dot, but it's spreading it more because the base is wet. Let me zoom it up. So this is like one section I've just done yellow. Now I'm cleaning the brush and quickly taking maybe this orange and then using it on the next section. So you can see I'm trying to blend in both the colors, but at the same time, they will show up separately as a gradient effect, taking a little bit more orange. I don't know if I do it more quicker, I'm more better in it, but if I do it slowly, I feel I'm not able to get that texture. So it's your choice, whatever pace you want to apply, you will be able to do great. So this is the orange that I am using. I'm just going to do it till here. Now quickly take your paper towel, the clean part, and I'm using the corner of my paper towel in between the two colors, that is orange and yellow, that is the border. I'm just going to dab it so that both the colors, they blend in nicely. And now I'm going to use some water and blend them so that there is no hard edge in between them. That means there is no line formed in between them. They are blending very smoothly. And that's what we need in the background because we need a very light faded shade. Now, if you want to add some more yellow on the next section or any other color, I just wanted to show you the technique of how to blend in two colors in the background. And the most important part here is using a paper towel to blend them nicely. I'm just going around the sides or the edges of the flower and the leaves so that they can blend in. And I think I have done the bottom left corner. I have completely filled in or covered this area. Is it working for you all? Is it working, Lynn?
Uh-huh.
Great. Isn't it an easy way to do the background?
Yes.
Great.
Very.
Now I'm just coming to the bottom part here. So you can go in any direction now. Now you know the technique. Just follow along. Just use the colors that you want to use. I want to see that creativity. You don't need to follow the same colors. I'm using a little bit of orange again in between so that it gives a brighter shade. Try to use a mix of two colors or three colors. Some are bright, some are a little subtle. Starting more, and I'm just kind of blending them with a paper towel. And just cleaning the brush, using some dry brush so that both the colors they blend in nicely. Now I'm going to wet the next section. Now here I'm thinking of also using some green because there is some green in the leaves and the petals. Oh, sorry, in the leaves and the stem. Taking light green now. Now, but you can use any green that you have because it will kind of blend in with the water and make it light, even if you use a darker green. So here I'm just using the tip and then pressing my brush so that it spreads the green nicely and fades it out. Somewhere you can also keep it very white or kind of light. Then I'm moving to my yellow because it's a bright color. And in between I can add, you can even overlap the lighter color on top of the darker color and then use the dry brush or maybe your paper towel to blend it. So quickly I'm trying to cover it. I want to show you all the magic touch. I think I did show it to you before in watercolor painting, but I love it and I would love you all to do it if you want to do it. Now coming to the top right corner. I know I'm taking more time than the session time, but I would love for you all to complete it with me. Now just adding some yellow. See the way it spreads. I love it's very satisfactory, like the way it spreading. Taking some orange now. I hope you all are happy with your painting till now. Spreading it. Now I'm thinking of adding a little bit of blue here. So just adding water first throughout. Just unzoom it a little. Taking a little blue. Using dots and letting it spread. Doing the same in between here if it works, or it might turn into green because I'm doing it on yellow, but it will look good. Now I'm just using my paper towel and dab it on top so that it does have blue, but it is not that dark. And now I'm just using some water to spread it so that I don't see that dotted texture. Now I'm coming back to the yellow. Just spreading it. I'm just using some yellow inside those gaps in between the petals as well. And then using some water to blend in the colors. Using a little bit of orange. And then using my paper towel to lighten it. And then take some water to spread it. I hope the techniques are helping you and you're happy with your painting. We are almost done. Let me know if you have any questions because we might need to wait a little bit for the base to dry. Or I'll show you a small section so that you know how to do those magic touch or kind of adding a few dots. of different colors because my base has or the background has also not dried yet. So please let me know if you have any questions or anything you need to say. I'm adding little orange. Lynn, are you done?
Yes.
Great. Lynn, your sunflower is looking really nice. Like I can see those gradient touch. I can see the outline, that yellow and orange mix. And I can't see any dust from here on
Oh,
the
good.
leaves. If it's there, just if it has dried completely, just use a very dry paper towel, a clean one, and just try to take it away, put it away.
Oh, I'm actually very happy.
No, it is actually good. But now I want you all to see the dots. Maybe I'll show you. I think
Yeah, the
my
dots.
base is
I like
uh
the dots.
I'll show you on my original one because it is dried already. So I can show you here my base, my background has not dried for the one that I am doing now. So I just want to show you if you want to continue later, at least you can do it. So these dots are already there. I'll add a few more so that you know how to do it. So just have a clean brush and dip your brush in water. So I can show you. I don't want the water to fall down, but I'll still show you. Just dip it in water and whichever color you want to put. Now I want to do a little bit of orange here. So I'm just adding water on top of the orange itself. I'm not taking it in the palette. I'm just doing it on the paint itself. I have enough orange and it depends upon how much water you take so that you're able to add those dots. So always use a rough paper to see or a paper towel to see is it spreading nicely. So if I take my paper towel, just use your finger to tap on the neck of the brush or maybe just use another paintbrush to tap on the tip of the brush and see are you getting the dots? If you are, then
Yes.
try to use it on, maybe I'll hold it like this, try to use it on your final painting. Some of them will be bigger, some of them will be smaller. And as you keep on moving your brush and keep on tapping, you'll be able to scatter them more. But if you want a good concentration, just keep the brush at one place and keep on tapping. Now you can do the same with different other colors. Maybe if you want to try with green, try to clean the brush first and then take some green the same way as you did for the orange. The more water you take, the bigger the drops will be. The lesser water you take, the smaller the dots will be. Is it working for anyone? It might not work for the first time, so keep on trying. I can do one more time with another color. I call it as a magic touch. I hope you also think the same once you do it. I'm using some green now. So using some water, and I feel that there's too much water, so maybe I can absorb it on my paper towel and then see if it's working. I think it's working. And now I'm going to tap it on the neck of the brush and keep on moving my brush to have a good scatter of those dots. And this was all. We are able to complete the painting, but please do sign your painting so that it actually gives you the happiness that you made it. And because I always love this part when I sign it and I know that I own it. Lynn, are you there? So this one has also dried. Maybe I can keep both of these here. And yes, I had also put a masking tape on this side. I'll be just taking it off, just see how neat it looks. So if you don't have a masking tape, I will send you a link if you want to purchase it. It's quite economic and it's a good amount that you can use it for a longer time. But the way it gives a nice effect, a nice neat effect at the end, I love that. So this was the new painting that it did, and this was the one that was done previously. So I want to show you, even I did it. It's a little different from the last one. That's how watercolors do. So
Beautiful.
Lynn, thank you, Lynn. And yours is beautiful too.